Rain tapped softly against the tall glass windows of St. Matthew's Hospital, blurring the city lights into streaks of gold and silver. Inside the emergency room, everything felt too bright, too loud, too exposed for someone like Alina Brooks. She sat at the edge of the examination bed, her fingers tightly interlocked in her lap, her heart pounding so loudly she was certain the nurses at the front desk could hear it. Alina had always been the quiet one, the girl who avoided attention, who chose oversized sweaters over fitted dresses, who lowered her gaze when strangers made eye contact. But tonight, there was no hiding. Tonight, she had no choice but to ask for help. What brought her to the ER wasn't something she could casually explain to friends or whisper to a neighbor. It was personal. Intimate. Embarrassing. And the fear of being judged weighed heavier than the discomfort that had driven her here in the first place. She had almost turned back 3 times before reaching the sliding doors. But pain and worry had pushed her forward. When the nurse called her name, Alina felt her cheeks burn. She followed quietly down the corridor, the scent of antiseptic sharp in the air. "The doctor will be with you shortly," the nurse said gently, offering a reassuring smile before closing the door behind her. Alone now, Alina exhaled shakily. She stared at the sterile cabinets, the tray of neatly arranged instruments, and the pale blue curtain partially drawn across the room. Her mind raced with worst-case scenarios. What if it was serious? What if something was wrong with her? What if the doctor dismissed her concerns? She hated feeling vulnerable. She hated even more that she had to explain something so deeply private to a complete stranger. The door opened softly. Alina looked up, and for a second, she forgot how to breathe. The man who stepped inside didn't look like what she had imagined an ER doctor to be. Dr. Adrian Hale was calm, composed, and impossibly handsome in a quiet, understated way. His dark hair was neatly styled, his sleeves rolled just slightly under his white coat, revealing a watch that caught the light. A stethoscope rested around his neck, and his expression wasn't rushed or irritated like she feared, it was attentive. Warm. Professional, yet kind. "Miss Brooks," he asked gently, his voice steady and reassuring. She nodded, barely managing to whisper, "Yes. I'm Dr. Hale. I understand you're experiencing some discomfort. Why don't you tell me what's going on?" His tone held no judgment. No impatience. Just calm concern. And somehow, that made it both easier and harder to speak. Alina swallowed, forcing herself to meet his eyes. They weren't cold or clinical, they were observant, but compassionate. As she hesitantly explained her symptoms, her voice trembled at first. She expected awkwardness. She expected embarrassment. But Dr. Hale listened without interruption. He didn't flinch. He didn't react inappropriately. He simply nodded, occasionally asking thoughtful questions to understand better. His professionalism slowly eased her anxiety. "You did the right thing coming in," he said after she finished. "There's nothing to be ashamed of. These things happen more often than you think." The simple reassurance made her chest tighten, not with fear, but with relief. She hadn't realized how much she needed to hear that. As he carefully conducted the examination, he explained each step beforehand, ensuring she felt comfortable and informed. His hands were steady, respectful. His words were clear and gentle. At no point did she feel judged. Instead, she felt safe. Something she hadn't expected to feel tonight. When the examination concluded, Dr. Hale stepped back slightly, giving her space. "It appears to be a minor infection. Uncomfortable, yes, but treatable. I'll prescribe medication, and you should start feeling better within a few days." Alina blinked, stunned. "That's it. That's it," he confirmed with a small smile. The tension she'd been carrying all evening dissolved instantly. She hadn't realized she was on the verge of tears until she let out a shaky laugh. "I was so scared." "I could tell," he admitted softly. "But you were brave to come." Brave. No one had ever called her that before. As he wrote the prescription, she noticed something unusual. A nurse knocked lightly and said, "Dr. Hale, the board meeting has been rescheduled for tomorrow morning." The investors confirmed. Alina glanced up, confused. "Investors? Board meeting?" Dr. Hale gave a brief nod. "Thank you, Sandra." Once the nurse left, Alina hesitated before asking, "Board meeting?" He paused, as if debating how much to say. Then he smiled faintly. "I help run this hospital. My family founded it years ago." Her eyes widened. "You own this hospital?" "One of several," he corrected gently. "But tonight, I'm just your doctor." The revelation stunned her. A millionaire. Standing here, speaking so humbly. Treating patients personally in the ER. She studied him differently now, not because of his wealth, but because of how little it seemed to define him. There was no arrogance. No superiority. Just quiet dedication. "You don't have to work in the ER if you own the place," she said softly. "No," he agreed. "But I choose to." "Why?" His gaze met hers again, deeper this time. "Because I became a doctor to help people. Not to sit in meetings all day." Something about that answer lingered in the space between them. Alina collected her things once he handed her the prescription. She felt lighter, physically and emotionally. At the door, she turned back. "Thank you, not just for the medicine. For being kind." Dr. Hale's expression softened. "Kindness shouldn't be rare in medicine." "But it is," she replied honestly. After she left, Adrian stood still for a moment longer than necessary. He wasn't sure why she affected him the way she did. He had treated thousands of patients. Confident women. Bold personalities. Socialites who knew his family's name before he introduced himself. But Alina had been different. Quiet strength. Vulnerability wrapped in courage. She hadn't tried to impress him. She hadn't known who he was. And somehow, that made her presence linger in his mind long after the door closed. The next day, he found himself checking the follow-up list to see if she'd scheduled an appointment. She had. 3 days later, Alina returned, less nervous this time, though still shy. The medication had worked, and her symptoms had improved. But something else had changed too. She found herself looking forward to seeing him again. During the follow-up, their conversation drifted beyond medical questions. She mentioned her love for painting. He admitted he rarely found time for hobbies anymore. She spoke about her small apartment filled with canvases. He confessed he sometimes envied people who pursued passion over profit. "You could," she said quietly. "You don't need more money." He laughed softly. "You're probably right." Over the weeks, her visits became less about illness and more about conversation. Coffee replaced prescriptions. Laughter replaced anxiety. Adrian found himself rearranging meetings just to free up an hour. Alina found herself smiling at her phone whenever his name appeared. But what moved Adrian most wasn't her beauty, though she was beautiful in a soft, understated way. It was her heart. The way she volunteered at a local shelter without posting about it online. The way she spoke about people, never judging. The way she listened. One evening, as they walked through a quiet park lit by golden streetlights, Adrian stopped. "I'm glad you came to the ER that night," he admitted. She smiled shyly. "I almost didn't." "I'm very glad you did." Her heart raced. Even though it was embarrassing. "Especially because it wasn't easy for you," he said. "Courage is most beautiful when it's quiet." Silence settled between them, but it wasn't awkward. It was charged. "Alina," he said softly, "I don't care that you're shy. I don't care that you don't fit into my world of galas and investors. I care that you're real." She felt tears prick her eyes again, but not from fear this time. "And I don't care that you're a millionaire," she replied gently. "I care that you're kind." That night, under the soft glow of the city lights, he kissed her, not as a wealthy businessman, not as a hospital owner, but as a man who had unexpectedly fallen for the shy girl who once sat trembling in his ER. And sometimes, life's most intimate emergencies don't just heal the body. They open the door to love. If this story touched your heart and reminded you that courage, kindness, and vulnerability can lead to unexpected blessings, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss another powerful story about love, destiny, and second chances. Your support helps us continue bringing you inspiring stories that warm the heart and uplift the soul.